Greetings, buddies and friendos. It's Miss O Plays here, and we're planet side again this week for an experimental outpost I finished just before this last update. But there's still plenty here to showcase for those of you who prefer your base building up in the stars. Now, I'm an Xbox player, so I don't have any access to any mods whatsoever, and I've been getting a little bit tired of using the same habs over and over for outposts. So I wanted to try and see if I could build an entire outpost without using a single pre-made hab. And as you can already see, that experiment went pretty well. So when you come with me and take a tour of this abandoned villa that I have built here on Strix 1, built entirely out of furniture and decoration items. So the theme for this particular build was something along Sunny DeFranco's island. I wanted to create a luxury villa that at some point got abandoned and then taken over by the Crimson Fleet. And ultimately this compound is made up of two different outdoor-ish living spaces as well as a full two-story villa with handmade stairs. And the way I went about building these structures was to first build them up on top of some habs, using those as a nice flat platform, and then using rugs, I was able to move the entire structures into position in the landscape after the construction was completed. And for the walls, what I used was some of those tall white shelves that don't really fit in any of the player homes or habs or spaceships or anything, along with some of the glass display cases as windows, and then some of the pedestals from the decoration section as pillars. And then I used some of the planters, the concrete square ones, which I merged together to create this roof line around the top of the buildings to make it look a little less blocky and square. Out here we've got this nice garden for relaxing in, because if there's one thing we know about when we visit Vlad's Villa or Sunny DeFranco's is there's a lot of outdoor spaces for parties, congregations and all that good stuff going on too. Say hi to my security robot there in the distance. As we come on over to my main workshop, which is also my armory, we got the laser turret there because pirates aren't always the most hospitable hosts. Navigation table there for planning our heists, and this is where I'm keeping a lot of my weapons and spacesuits. Now as we turn around, speaking of spacesuits, I found a way to get them to sit inside these glass cases. And since the update didn't actually break the technique I used here like I thought it would, I'll be sharing this technique in an upcoming video. We got the mission board there and a bounty terminal, which is incredibly important. And as you can see, these rocks spawned in and kind of took over a bit, but I'm not mad about it because it really fits with the theme of this particular build. You can see some of the rugs down there that we used as the base for this particular structure before I brought it in. And one of the nicest things about this particular biome is the snow likes to get up on top of those rugs. So it kind of helps to camouflage it a little bit. Otherwise, I think it would have looked a bit more industrial and a little less idyllic. So I'm grateful for those textures for jumping up and saving the vibe. Tying in that pirate theme as best I can without any faction decoration items, I've got a little display area down here with some digipics for crime and as well as some spacesuits here in that glass cabinet and some more over there on the table. Now let's take a look down the frontage of this particular villa and head on inside. Now my first passes at making this building came out really Fallout 76 New Cube-tastic. But I was able to get these like little alleyways down there and nooks and crannies to kind of really break up those really artificial flat walls that I was getting to begin with. And then I used a lot of these pillars too to add some more architectural interest and make it look more convincing as an actual building. Now let's come on inside. And you'll notice that the flooring in here is tables over rugs, so I could elevate the structure a little bit higher and prevent all of that landscape from clipping on inside. The first thing that I built up there that you can see is this really nice cocktail station. We've got these little wooden tables down there from the coffee table section, and if you float things, you can actually get things inside those glass fronts, kind of like I showed you in those glass front shelf tutorial a few weeks ago. And I used some tablets up here to create a shelf where I could hang those wine glasses, kind of like we see in some of the fancier bars and restaurants around the settle systems. Also, notice some of those new pictures up here. Yep, I built this originally before the update, but then I went back in and redid the art because the new pieces work so much better. So I'm going to come on through now to my kitchen and dining area, and on the table here you can see I've used one of those origami sculptures as a toast rack because there's so many things we can use in this game to make toast. And honestly, toast is about the extent of the culinary skills I think the pirates probably have. So the rest of the kitchen's a little bit Spartan. I wanted to make it look like these are the items that got left by the original owners, so it's a little bit picked bare and not quite as comprehensive as some of my other kitchens. But as we come on through here into the lounge area, we've got this little table down here with some of those homemade beverages you find at some of the shadier establishments. We've got some Beartini there from Sidonia and a Boggs Grog. Over on this wall, however, is one of the bits I'm the most excited about in this outpost, and that is the Vevictus poster over here on the dartboard. I get these every time I edit a Varun Eulogy 2, goes from one of the lockers, and they end up in my cargo bay, and they kind of felt like the ultimate pirate FU to the UC. So there he is on my dartboard, and we got some of those UC gene tags in the party cup there, because that's kind of like a gambling currency for my pirates at this outpost. Speaking of things I was real proud of, check out these lights. These are some of my favorite light fittings that I've made so far. They're made using those lamps, some jiggers, cocktail muddlers, and document trays. And they came out really nicely, I think. Now, speaking of lounges, let's come to the more formal lounge and check out this conversation pit. And this was another reason I went with the tables over the rugs for the floor of this building, so that I could sink down these couches to create one of those mid-century modern conversation pits. And then I floated some document trays over there to make the steps down so you can walk down smoothly, which will bring you down into this party zone. We got the hookah there on the table. This time, instead of using the grinder, I used a couple of those white vases, stacked one on top of the other, to create a more upscale version of the hookah tables that you've seen in a couple of my builds before. And then up ahead, we can just see one of those art corners. Been using a lot of paintings and posters in this because I really needed to break up those white walls because they're incredibly stark looking without all the decorations. So I pulled the blue from those couches over into that corner using that. And then here, I made some built-in bookshelves by making the pillar up here with those pedestals from the decoration menu, and then using those same pedestals lined up along the top to make it look like they're built into the wall. Then we got some more of those paintings. I've been embedding them behind the shelves to really try and bring as much color as I can into these walls, because when it's all white, it's just so clinical looking, and I really wanted it to look more like a fabulous villa than I did a doctor's office. Speaking of fabulous, here we have this chandelier, which might be the most complicated light fitting I have made so far. So let's have a look at these light fittings at night, which is when they really shine, pun intended. Now down here we've got the velocity bottles lined up along with some lamps to add a bit of color even at night. And then here you can see these lamps that I've been using for the chandeliers have this really fantastic kind of like starlight quality to them, and it really stands out over here because it's got those layers, and you can see how it like diffuses through the vase that I used as part of that light fitting. So it makes some really nice lighting effects even when the outpost is pretty dark, because of course without habs we don't have the lighting that we usually rely on from those. So now let's take a look at where the magic happens, which is my bedroom. We've got this fantastic double bed down there, flanked by those hanging baskets to make it look a little exotic and fancy. Got another cool light fitting up there, and then I used these different paintings this time on these walls so I could pull like these gold and blue tones through that we can see here too in this space rock. Got some piratey bits like my Kraken there on the table, plus a travel brochure for Kodos, which is a little throwback to that Kodos retreat I did a few months ago. And I got some more bits over here again, teeny weeny parsec pooch, along with a variety of Wilby sizes, because that's a flex in itself. By the way, the giant Wilbies come from Grandma, so if you hail her, go get some food and get yourself some giant Wilbies, because that's what I do each time. And then we got those sailing ships over there to finish off this room. There's also a nod to the nautical history of the pirates before we took to the skies. And here we are again in that great conversation pit lounge. And you can see now how it ties in with that cocktail bar as well. It's still got those blues and golds carrying on. And then on this wall we've got another art station with a really tall sculpture. Cannot remember where I looted that from, but it is very tall, and I hope to find it again because it's a really useful piece to have. Now we're going to come on through this sliver into another one of those teeny weeny bathrooms that you've seen me build probably a million times. It's not super fancy, but it gets the job done. Over here we got a utility tray this time and a semi-metal wafer making up the shower head. And yeah, it's a tight fit, but it'll keep you clean. And at the end of the day, that's really all we're looking for from it. Now let's take a look outside and see what the back of this building looks like. A little less fancy than the front, but still working hard to stop it from looking terribly boxy. And I really like the way these planters go with the white walls. You can angle them, put them on shelves, do all kinds of things with them. So they ended up being really useful for breaking up those white walls while still looking like they belong with the white walls. Let's go on upstairs. Now for the stairs, I use shelves. I figured, you've seen on my animal husbandry video how I use the shelves to make a step up. I figured if it works as a set of one, it should work all the way up. And it actually does. You gotta really hug the wall if you don't want to fall off, but you can walk up here and get into my pirate base. This is really where the operations are happening. Downstairs is where we're living. Up here is where we're doing our business. Got a little break area down there. Got to get my cards going on. There's a dartboard ready to be hung up, and the bolt cutters, which is how we got in here in the first place. And then when we turn around, it's a fitness station. Maybe this will be nice enough to entice Vlad back to the fleet. Probably not, though. We've got some red bits of furniture to kind of echo the red from the trees over there. And it's got a really nice view of the green side of this outpost, since it is straddling two different biomes. And inside through here is where the work is happening. What kind of work are we doing here? Well, we got a bit of a clinic going, so if you're in the fleet, you can come here and get patched up. If you're not in the fleet, I recommend staying away though, because as you can see, this medical facility isn't exactly on the up and up. Because the pirates might stay true to a lot of things, but the Hippocratic Oath clearly is not one of them. And we have an awful lot of contraband on those shelves to prove it. But for anyone in the market for contraband goods, as you can see, we've got an awful lot of selection here in stock. You might also notice on those surgical trolleys to the side, we don't have the best equipment. We got like utility knives in lieu of scalpels and like a regular staple gun. It's a bit of a hack job, but it does get the job done. And then over here in the corner is our anesthesiologist station, stocked up with some of the best fleet weapons, some more of those maelstroms of various descriptions up there on the wall. And then we got this admin desk down here to keep track of all the comings and goings, because this is a business, damn it. So we're going to operate like one, even if we don't have Voss on site doing the accounting for us. We got some more contraband over here in these shelves, in this cupboard, and a little cot down here for the crew to sleep on whilst we're getting the work done. Because I really did want to make a more ramshackle vibe up here than we have downstairs. And now over on the wall is maybe the thing that took the longest to do. We've got this Crimson Fleet skull over on the wall. That, along with this fantastic lighting rig up there, all illuminates at night. It's very ominous looking, but also kind of cute in its own weird way. And I beg you to not ask how long it took to do that skull on the wall, because if I publicly say how long it took, my family will disown me. Obviously, the lighting rig is the velocity bottles again, and the skull is metabolic agent. It's a lot cheaper to get than the velocity. It's also a lot smaller too, so we can get more detail in there. The only really downside is it does need to be a lot darker for it to glow than the velocity does. Now, let's come on down those terrifying stairs, and also get a look at the wooden decking. I got some wooden tables around the outside of the building to make the decking look separate from the inside. Now we're going to go check out this tea pavilion. And this is just a little structure we can sit in, enjoy some tea whilst enjoying the view, and also got a bit of shelter from the weather. It actually rains here quite a lot, and the sun's pretty strong. We've got a lot of plants because, you know, it's outside. And I've been merging these planters to make these rooftop decorations. And here I managed to curve it a lot like you saw on the walls from that new Atlantis outpost a couple of weeks ago. And I've just about finished filming the tutorial video for that, so I'll finally be able to share with you how I've been doing these mergers. And then in here you can see where the earth has come and kind of fallen down over the decking, because I kind of wanted to make it look abandoned, so this is how it might look if it had been left a while and nature started to take over once more. But I got this light too, which you can just see over there in the corner, and that shines a pretty nice spotlight on the tea drinking area. That actually looks pretty nice during the daytime and at night too, which is rare, because normally it's either nice at night or nice during the day. It's real rare you can get those lights to look good under the sunshine as well as under the stars. Of course, we've got more lights too, as you've been able to see on those walls. Those are from the power section, as well as these meteorites, which, if you remember from Kodos, also glow at night. Because just like Kodos, I really did want it to look like it's still alive even at night. So that's why I spent so much time working on the illuminations on the outside as well as on the in. And that welcoming looking scene through the window would probably inspire a few people to come visit, even if they probably shouldn't. So I hope you enjoyed this perhaps rather macabre tour. And if you're like me and you've been wondering for a while, can you build an outpost without having to use the habs? The answer is clearly yes, you can, even if it is, if I'm honest, a pretty masochistic endeavor to do so. But that said, it's definitely something I'm going to do again, and have already started to do again. Because whilst the habs that we do have in that menu are really cool, I know I personally have been just screaming for some more variety, and this is definitely one way to open that up. And it's also why I'm really excited about that ship decorating, because some of the empty habs added with that are just fantastic. Some of those floor plans are really interesting to work with, and I've been doing a lot with that too, which I'm excited to show you in some upcoming videos. But for now, since you stuck with me this far, thank you so much for watching. And as always, if you find anything in this video in any way interesting or entertaining, please drop me a like and subscribe, and I'll be back again next week with more building tips, ships, and outpost tours. Till then, bye!